All right, we're going to get started tonight. I want to welcome you all to Doc Talk Live at the Matthews here in Spearfish. Today, we have a very special episode to help you stay on track with your healthy goals this holiday season. We all know how tempting the holidays can be with delicious food, sweet treats, and festive gatherings, but that doesn't mean you have to throw your health goals out the window. So if you've ever found yourself worrying about weight gain during the holiday season, don't fret. We've got you covered with expert advice and practical tips on how to navigate this time of year without feeling guilty. So joining me today is the team from the Weight Management Clinic here in Spearfish, a group of professionals dedicated to helping people manage their health year-round. And they're here to give us all the tools we need for a healthy holiday season. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about the clinic, and answer all of your questions. So thank you all for being here this evening.
Okay, I'll start. My name's Katie Jones. I'm a nurse practitioner with the Weight Management and Bariatric Surgery team. My background, I obtained my undergraduate and graduate degrees from South Dakota State University, practiced in intensive care as an RN as I navigated through NP school. And once I graduated from NP school, started working with Dr. Van Osdal, our local bariatric surgeon. And that's where I've been for the past 8 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cora Bush. I'm a PA with the same practice, working in bariatric surgery as well as weight management. I got my PA license in Philadelphia and decided to come here to lovely, originally Hot Springs and now up in Spearfish, where my boyfriend has all of his family, so I love to be here. I have a background in mental health as well as addiction medicine and came to the Weight Management Clinic to offer a little bit more help in that field.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amelia Flint. I work at Black Hills Psychology, and my role on the team is to conduct the psychological evaluations before surgery. As many of you might know, it's kind of a big psychological adjustment as well. And so the evaluation it looks at strengths and weaknesses when it comes to sustaining lifestyle changes both before and after surgery. And I also conduct a year-long program that's called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy for lifestyle changes, to work with folks who maybe want to learn more about the behavioral aspects of lifestyle change. It's great to be here.
All right. Next. My name is Laura Morris. I'm a registered dietitian, also a diabetes educator. I've worked with bariatric patients for over 20 years now. I came here from New York State and been in this area for 2 years working with the bariatric and weight management clinic. I also have a background in phys ed and sports management, so exercise, nutrition pretty much go hand in hand. So I see patients on an individual basis and also for group classes.
My name is Amanda Taglioli. I'm a physician assistant, and I work in the medical weight management side of our program. Before I did this, I've been doing this for about 3 years. I did family practice for about 20 years. So that was just a really good foundation for what I get to do now, just working with patients and helping them with essentially lifestyle changes, helping people with their sleep, helping them with nutrition, exercise, and just emotional health. And then we also incorporate weight loss medications to help make these lifestyle changes easier.
My name is Kina Bird Morrow. I'm a nurse practitioner. I've been a nurse since 2009 and graduated with Katie Jones with our doctorate. I originally started in all areas when I was a registered nurse, did some travel nursing with the military, and then started working on my doctorate and got into orthopedics because just wanting to help people move or be able to move. And that's kind of played a big part in the transition into the medical weight loss clinic. And I get to work with Amanda, and we cover everything that has to do with weight, like she said.
Perfect. Well, I think before we address the holiday question, can somebody speak to the process of going through the weight management clinic into bariatric surgery and what Monument Health has to offer in that regard?
You want to handle it?
Sure, I can take that. So typically we'll get either self-referrals from patients or referrals from their primary care provider. Sometimes we get them from actually even orthopedic surgery if a patient's been seen for chronic knee pain, but they maybe need to lose some weight before they can pursue a total knee repair or replacement. So we get referrals from all over and directly from patients themselves. Typically, when those referrals come in, depending upon which route a patient would like to go, maybe they're considering metabolic and bariatric surgery. Maybe they have never thought that was an option for them. So we have a bariatric scheduling coordinator that goes through all of those referrals, and depending what the patient's body mass index is, they'll likely be scheduled with myself or Cora in the surgical clinic to discuss all options, metabolic and bariatric surgery, which entails a 4 to 6 month preoperative phase. So you meet with ourselves, Dr. Van Osdal, our bariatric surgeon, you meet with Laura and Dr. Flint to kind of adjust your lifestyle before you may take that big step toward bariatric surgery. And sometimes after hearing those options, patients are not interested in the surgical route and strictly want to stick to medications. I'm sure all of you have heard of the GLP-1s. They're kind of a craze right now. And so for patients who are not interested in pursuing metabolic and bariatric surgery, they're then deferred over to Amanda and Kina at the medical weight management clinic. And they do all of the same things that we do at our clinic. You work with Laura, you work with Dr. Flint. The only thing you take out is that surgical side of things. So
perfect. Okay, well, let's get down to the big question. What's the biggest challenge people face during the holidays when it comes to weight management?
That's a loaded question, I would say. Probably the biggest challenge is that schedules kind of seem to go out the door. And so that stress is inevitable this time of the year, along with the high stress comes high emotions in general. And typically those emotions revolve around anxiety, depression, joy also. But you hear a little strain in my voice when I say that. It's more, and just by virtue of what I do as a psychologist, I do see kind of more the negative emotions in people. But I can say that it does start with maybe recognizing that chaos is inevitable during this time and that schedules do go out the door. And every year it just sort of seems like we forget that in this month, especially. And then that becomes extra challenging to remember to stay on track with managing a healthy lifestyle, with making healthy decisions about what to eat and where to go to eat and things like that too. So probably that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've talked a little bit about how consistency is key. So, otherwise on Christmas, of course, enjoying your favorites and whatnot, but sticking with proper diet the rest of the time, going up to and after the holiday, being as physically active as able. And then I always tell patients, just keep following up. I don't want to see what your best. I don't want to see what your lowest. I want to see what an average day is for you and work with you where you are so we can keep making it better. I don't want you to push off coming to see me until you're at your goal weight, because that's what I'm supposed to help you with. I want to make your life easier.
Okay. So how do you approach the idea of maintaining a healthy lifestyle without feeling like you're missing out on the holiday fun? You said we can splurge on the day of, but it seems to be a couple of weeks or an entire month. Or how do we make sure that we get a partake and still not feel like we're losing out?
I would say one of the important things is your food environment at home. So you have Thanksgiving Day, but then you have another month before it's Christmas. What are you going to have in your home? Are you going to make it an environment where you feel like you're missing out? Or is it going to be like, I'm taking care of myself? So are you going to make all these Christmas cookies, have them all out on the counter, and always feel like you're missing out because you can't have them? Or are you going to make them enjoy one and then give them away for other people to enjoy. So kind of like think about your home and what do you want it to like nurture and make you feel like you are doing something that you want to do for yourself versus missing out. So home environment, I think, is extremely important.
Yeah, I would say the same. And also the importance of just balance eating. I think weight management patients over the years, any of the ones that I deal with, are very, very hard on themselves and think that they have to be perfect. There is no perfection with it. It's just learning a balance and moderation. And, you might not do so great at one meal and you can lighten up the next meal. What I always tell patients is I don't want you to wait till Monday unless it's Sunday. You can say that to me.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So one thing that often comes up is the pressure to eat everything at holiday events. Or I think somebody mentioned their Aunt Millie who pushes pumpkin pie in their face the entire time. So how do you recommend navigating those buffet style meals or family dinners without overdoing it?
We actually just had a wonderful support group hosted by our behavioral psychologist, Dr. Flint, where she actually utilized AI technology to simulate a food pusher family member. So Dr. Flint might be able to speak to that very well.
Yeah, I think, well, speaking of AI, I like to use AI as a way to engage in practice conversations. It's what I've done in therapy with some of my clients over the years. It's role play, essentially, right? If you're nervous about Aunt Millie and how she might push the pie on you several times and you're looking for new and creative ways to respectfully decline, I can provide that perspective and I can even give you feedback on how you come across. And so that's how I've used role play in therapy before. What AI can do now is engage you even further in that conversation. And so it's just a matter of using even any one of these open AI resources and saying, I'm really trying to stay healthy around the holidays. And you're just typing this in and it's like a little Google box. You're typing this in and then I'm looking for any advice you might be able to help me with in declining a food pusher at the holidays. And it's awesome what AI can then give you back. And then it becomes this practice, if you want it to be, where Aunt Millie, aka AI, will say, oh no, but I just made this especially for you, or you usually have extra pie and I think you should take some more. And so it will just kind of modify how it talks back to you based on what you might be looking for, because you provide that feedback into AI and saying, yeah, I think I've got that down, but could you push a little bit harder on how much it might hurt her feelings? And then suddenly AI is like, I'm all over that and I have tears in my eyes and I just want you to have this pie. And so it's good practice, because I mean, we do have and we can struggle with that food pushing that can go on over the holidays. And so the more rehearsed that you can be, and this comes from even my sports psychology background a little bit, gives me that like practice, because then it becomes almost like muscle memory. When activated in that moment, your brain goes straight to, you've got this. You know what to say to Aunt Millie and anybody else who's trying to give you another piece of pie. Mm-hmm. You mentioned buffet too. And so one of the strategies I like to encourage people about is survey first. Go ahead and look at everything that's out there, because if you start loading your plate with what's at the beginning, and then you get to the end and you're like, well, I'm going to miss out if I don't this and this and this and grab and grab and grab. So instead, walk the line first and just look at what's out there so that you know exactly what you would prefer to put on your plate, and recognize that it is a choice, because if you took everything and ate that, then there would be some guilt probably involved with that. But if you looked at what you wanted and then said, I'm going to enjoy this, then your brain becomes active in that choice component as well. And it becomes less about guilt and more about ownership of the choices that you are making.
Yep. I've also always told my patients too, this time of the year when there's a lot of parties and things going on, celebrations, I find that a lot of people, they know they're going out someplace, they're going to go to somebody's house for a party or celebration, and they won't eat all day. And then by the time they get there, everything looks great. Right. So that is a great option, of course, scanning everything ahead of time. But I always tell, do not skip meals. Like, you still need to have your regular structured day and maybe lighten up. You could eat a little bit lighter because, maybe you're going to eat some different things that aren't normally things you would eat this time, until it's this time of the year. But lighten up on your meals and maybe even eat a light snack before you go. And that way, when you get there, you just pick the things you want because you're not going there ravenous, and then everything looks great when you're really hungry, as we all know.
Yeah. And also watching the alcohol. Alcohol, when you're in a stressful situation, it's just, you kind of forget that you want to make some healthier choices and you just kind of let it all go. So knowing that about yourself and knowing how you handle those situations, and alcohol, if that would be better just left alone and have the sparkling water, something else.
Yeah, which maybe leads to the next question partially. I think a lot of people struggle with portion control around the holidays. We kind of give ourselves the opportunity to cheat a little bit, and then you're like, well, I'll have, if one's good, two's better, right? So there are so many delicious options. What's your best tips for staying mindful about portion size without feeling restricted?
All right, I'll talk on this one. You want me to go? All right. So one of the easiest things is the healthy plate, which is, we always talk about that. And I have some handouts in the back there for the healthy plate, where we try to do half of our plate non-starchy vegetables, a quarter lean meat, and a quarter whole grain. So again, fiber fills you up and protein will fill you up. So those things are super important to have at your meals. And again, even if you were eating out or going someplace, we know the portions are huge. Trying to have the styrofoam container brought before the meal comes and taking half of that off your plate and bring it home for the next day would be another option. Or if you're out with a girlfriend or you and your husband, you could each get a salad, split an entree, that type of thing.
And the other is just more behavioral type aspects of portion control. So if you are using the healthy plate, a quarter of it might be non-starchy vegetables, a quarter lean protein, and the rest whole grains. But how much of that do you have? Is it piled on? Like, are you having, a giant size plate or a normal size plate or a salad size plate? No matter how big of the plate no matter how much of the plate you're filling up, start with those healthier options. Start with your lean protein, start with your fiber. And then you might not really be too hungry for that starch by the time you're finished up. The other is just really mindfulness of eating. So taking your time, chewing your food well, eating slowly, setting your utensil down between each bite. Simply slowing the pace of your eating will help you to better sense your satiety or satisfaction. And so you don't eat to that point of being full. You want to be satisfied, not necessarily full. And with the abundance of food, alcohol, all of the nutritional side of things that are available to us during this time of year, the other thing to think about staying consistent with is your fitness. With gym closures and the weather being cold, we can find family being around, we can find almost any excuse to not exercise or not be active. So try to incorporate those things into your holiday. For example, you finish your Thanksgiving dinner or your Christmas dinner with your family, instead of all going to the living room and putting up your feet and watching football or whatever it is, go out as a family for a short hike or a short walk after your meal. Simply doing little things like that to enhance your activity and stay consistent can really go a long way. So,
and to add on with the activity, to change your mindset where it is the holidays, so you're having that break or getting to take it easy. But if we can change our mindset with, we can connect a lot of good memories with food. We can do the same with activity too. And as you get older and loved ones that were there previous years are no longer there, a lot of that is connected more with the activity that you are doing with them, whether it is going for that short walk, playing cards, going to the gym to shoot, hoops or whatever that may be. You can change your mindset on that and create new memories with younger generations. So then they too have that, just setting that new tradition for future generations.
So that was my next question about exercise. Do you find that it's harder as the time changes and things get darker, not just at the holidays, but the entire winter months where we're having less sun and we're having less light and so any tips in terms of even once the new year kicks off, we get past the holidays and we're still in that kind of January low light to maintain your exercise and your health that way?
Yeah, you absolutely have to shift your exercise. Like all of us have to shift it. So you might be someone that really enjoys running, but now the streets are slippery, whatever, that type of thing. And so you have to switch and be like, well, now I'm going to ride a bike inside or treadmill. I don't really like that, but I want to take care of myself. I feel better when I do that. Or it might be, I'm going to get a membership at the gym and I'm going to try out those classes. But you do have to, like, in that season where you notice it changing, it's like, yeah, I kind of dread this, but yet you can anticipate it and be like, I'm going to try something new. You're going to choose to do something. And it's all about, activating your will and saying, I will do something different, because we all have to do it. So,
with that kind of maybe feeling like, oh, I don't want to do that activity, or I don't want to, or, when the weather gets colder, the sun's not out as much, we oftentimes hear of all the fatigue that people have and all the exhaustion, and I just don't have the energy to go work out. There is a cycle to that. If you don't move your body, you will feel more exhausted. So if you can find it within yourself to put those 2 feet on the floor in the morning and get out to the gym or go for a walk on a nice day, I can almost guarantee to you that you'll sleep better, you'll have more energy throughout the day, sleep better at night, and that consistency will build because you will feel better.
And you guys, it's not just always going to the gym, right? It could be just any opportunity you have to move during the day. I hear every excuse, and I'm sure these guys do too. And when I was back east, I'd always hear, well, I'm going to go for a walk. Well, now it's too cold. It's too hot. I'm like, all right, enough. Like, we can't make an excuse. There's tons of things. I know the weather doesn't always, it's not always to our liking or exactly perfect how we want it, but you can do armchair exercises at home. You can get videos or get on YouTube and get free videos on YouTube and do all kinds of activities, whether it's with your own body weight, resistant bands, free weights. Keena and I both have walking pads at our job now, so we've got our desks up and we are in competition, seeing how many miles we can walk and try to chart on our desks. But every little opportunity, park your car farther away, take the stairs when you can, do an extra lap around Walmart when you're in there. All those things add up, okay? So it doesn't mean, it doesn't always have to be traditional, like I got to go to the gym. Sometimes maybe that's not the atmosphere somebody likes, but you need to find a way to move. Just like Katie said, when we're really tired, you don't want to do it, but if we get moving, you will have more energy, you will feel better, and then in turn you eat better, you sleep better, because they're all connected.
I love telling people to bring a friend into it too. Have that accountability piece. So if you know that you don't really like walking outside very much by yourself, but you have a friend that's going to make you put on your shoes and that's going to be your social time for an hour, or you join a community class because that might be, maybe making a new friend and they'll notice if you miss a week or so and you're starting to have kind of that accountability access can help with motivation.
And then it's about evaluating, yourself. Do you work out better right away in the morning because you're going to come up with every excuse in the evening not to work out? Or is it evenings are the best time to work out, but then your excuse is, oh, I just don't have my gym clothes. Well, let's bring your gym clothes to work and change before you go home. Or, I got so many dishes to do. I got chores to do. Well, we could probably all use paper plates every once in a while, and that'll free up 15 minutes. And just like Laura said, 15 minutes at home, that is something. And like she said, all those little things add up. So sometimes you really have to just give yourself absolutely no excuse to do something that you don't really want to do every day.
Our brains are so funky too. And so the most primitive part of our brain is hardwired to seek pleasure. And so in the most immediate moment, 6 o'clock in the morning rolls around and I'm like, oh, my bed is so comfortable. And this is just, it feels so wonderful to have this nice quilt around me right now and to get up out of here. Nah, it's not going to happen. But it takes microseconds for our thinking to get from that most primitive part of our brain to the frontal lobe. And all it takes is that, because our frontal lobe is then responsible for decision making and more of that, the thinking on why I am feeling a certain way. And so I give myself microseconds to just rethink the long term. Like, I know the benefit of exercise for me is I am able to think clearer throughout the day. I am more productive with my time at work. I am more present with my child at home. And suddenly I'm throwing off the covers and I'm getting up at 6 o'clock. And it didn't even take, but we'll say 30 seconds at the most to change the way that I look at the long-term benefit versus the most immediate, where I'm still hugging myself in those covers and staying warm.
Okay, questions from you guys. I'll hand over the mic.
I have a gazillion questions. Oh, I think I'm okay. I have moving us.
Hey, but this is a podcast. We have to be able to hear you.
Okay. I'm going to ask the question, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, autophagy related to fasting. I was just wondering what all of you felt about it, plus especially with postmenopausal women such as myself.
Take that? Or
I didn't hear what you
just
said.
any kind of fasting, or
Morning fasting, I guess what I've been reading and hearing about on YouTube the most has been when you wake up, don't eat right away. Just wait as long as you can to eat for the autophagy. It's cellular, right? To
At the cell.
start with the fat burning.
That's what she. Yeah. So, I can talk a little bit about it. So, so there's a lot of different ways to do intermittent fasting, and there are some benefits, but I also think it depends on the person and what type of intermittent fasting they're doing. Because what I find is that sometimes if somebody's not eating, and no one has to eat like as soon as they roll out of bed anyway, but it is good to break the fast and get the metabolism started. And sometimes people will tend to overeat later on, or if they only have this window of time to get in their food, it can lead to binge eating. So I guess it would be a certain population, a certain type of person. Not everybody does that, but some people do try to get in. This is all the time I can eat, so I'm going to hurry up and eat as much as I can because now I can't eat for 16 or 18 hours or whatever it may be. So that's the only thing I would be cautious about. But there are some benefits, clearly, with some of the research that's done with intermittent fasting.
And I think that you hit it on the head. For certain populations, it depends what your goal is. There is some literature out there to support intermittent fasting for cardiac health. But when we're here talking about weight loss and how to maintain that weight loss long term. So there is evidence out there to support weight loss with intermittent fasting, but it's typically not sustainable for patients. And then we see them rebound their weight gain within typically a 2-year time frame. Refractory to medications, refractory to surgery. And that is really metabolic in nature. So when Laura talked about you don't have to eat as soon as you roll out of bed, but getting that first food intake that's high in protein, particularly, is going to be extraordinarily important for weight loss, retention of muscle during that weight loss, so that you can maintain the weight loss long term. So when we're speaking specifically to weight, that is not something that I typically recommend in my clinical practice, is the intermittent fasting. I don't know if anybody else wants to speak to that as well.
So I usually call it a eating window versus fasting. So if you're able to maintain like an 8-hour eating window the rest of your life, and within that eating window, get enough protein, enough fiber, enough water, then that may be effective for you. But like I said, it needs to be like a long-term thing. I would say people that it can be beneficial for people that have insulin resistance, because then you're not having the kind of up and down insulin surges. People that I would not recommend it for would be people that are going to eat a huge amount within that 8-hour eating window. You're not going to get anywhere with that, especially like fast food or really poor quality. So it's a super complicated thing, and just like, you know, hearing something on YouTube, let's do a 6-hour eating window, and it's probably not going to end well, because there's going to be a lot of weight regain. So if you're educated, someone supporting you, kind of teaching you how to do it, like when to time exercise and stuff, it might be effective. But I definitely don't just offhandedly tell people to do short eating windows.
Yeah, the other thing I think that all of us do up here too is, again, we look at the person as an individual and try to help you modify things in your life, because we all have different lifestyles, different eating patterns, different likes and dislikes. But when it all comes down to it, just like Katie said, it's sustainability. There's a ton of diets out there, and they all do work to some degree as long as someone can do it. So sometimes people want a quick fix, and okay, but then what happens with that is we lose muscle along with it. And one of the big things, whether it's bariatric or weight management clinic, that we concentrate on a lot is we don't want someone losing muscle mass. So we know that with GLP-1s or even bariatric surgery with weight loss can also be muscle loss and fat loss. We're trying to maintain that muscle mass. I don't care, and none of us do. We don't like to look at numbers on a scale. We want to know what that number represents, okay, if that makes sense. And the more muscle you have, the more calories you're burning, even when you sleep. Isn't that great?
That was a great question, though. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Do you have any suggestions for postmenopausal women? I mean, losing weight has become next to impossible, well, for about 5 years now, since, going through the change and everything. And because I've heard a lot of these suggestions before, and it's just like everything with my body has changed. Mm-hmm. And it's just made an abrupt halt. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just curious of any ideas you have for postmenopausal women.
One of the greatest diets for that is Mediterranean diet, actually, which is, and if you've heard of it, it's more plant-based, but still includes protein, but more of a plant-based protein, but not everybody wants to go completely that route. And you could do more like chicken, fish, but it's high in fruits and vegetables, whole grains, but again, portion controlled still with all of that. But yeah, postmenopausal is tough. Your hormones change, your estrogen levels are decreased. You got to get exercise too, and sleep, of course, as well. So, that gets disrupted going through that whole process. So it does kind of throws a wrench in all of it.
And I think too, just realizing that where you're at now is completely different where you were 10, 15 years ago. And so what was working then is not going to work now. And so just being creative where, not getting into doing the same routine that was working before. We got to switch things up. So like with the Mediterranean diet, and like we talked about, consistency of meals, getting protein in those high fiber foods. But then also, maybe just going for a walk isn't going to be enough sometimes. So now we're going to maybe try, strength training plays a huge part. We're talking about building muscle and incorporating more and more of that in. And And I don't know, a lot of times that's not something that we're doing regularly, is that strength training piece, but it does play a very important part.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of women that I see that are in that postmenopausal period, if we look at their nutrition leading up to that, they've been more like, I'm going to do long, slow cardio, and I'm going to not eat a lot, like super low calorie. That has worked for me in the past. And then they're usually really low on protein. So those are kind of the things that I tend to work on. Is we're going to make sure you're eating enough, eating frequently enough, eating enough protein, and then doing the resistance or like kind of higher intensity type of workouts. It's not like some easy fix though. Like, our bodies are so complicated, and especially when you're in that phase of change, nothing like just one thing is going to work. It's not going to be one simple thing. So having patience and just giving it time to figure things out. Yeah.
And I think with all this said, just kind of as a disclaimer, these are general recommendations. These are not your recommendations. And so, like Laura talked about, we all like to really individualize the treatment plan for each patient. So if they're, take all of this information that you're getting and absorb it. But if you feel like you need additional help, we want to be able to help you. And so never feel afraid to come consult with us if it's something that you desire.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we are on the same wavelength. That was the questions that I was going to address to you, because now that we're postmenopausal, it's not like we're not looking at geriatric surgery, because we're just got that little bit of weight we're carrying around, but it's not moving anywhere. And so I guess I would have hesitated coming to one of you, because it's not that bad that I need surgery, I don't think. But you're telling me, am I interpreting this correctly, that yes, you want us ladies who are in this stage and messed up with sleep and routine and just that couple extra pounds that will never, literally, less than a quarter pound every time I go to the doctor. And I thought I was starving myself for a while eating salads, and it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you're telling us, that's my question. We come to you. Who do we start with?
You would come to Kina and I, because we offer the medical weight management, because what you're saying is you're not in a place where you need bariatric surgery. So yeah, you would consult with Kina and myself, and I love seeing women that are postmenopausal, and I know Kina does too. And Laura might be seeing you too, because she's our expert dietitian. But yeah, we absolutely see people that may just be overweight, and they're just wanting to change their body composition and improve just their health. And they'll come to see us, and we'll help them with that too. So it's a very wide range of people that we see.
And there's different components we all work on as well. So we're working on those lifestyle changes. If we're seeing that we're not having success, even though your, nutrition is spot on and you're bringing in all this physical activity, that's also where that medication kind of discussion comes up. That we have oral medications. It's not just the GLP-1 injectable medications. There's a lot of different options available. And we like being able to follow and have that kind of in-depth, personalized discussion with people, where primary care, it oftentimes is a very brief visit. We are able to talk about making all those lifestyle changes in addition to medications if you feel like you have tried everything.
Yeah, we get to spend an hour with you guys, whether you want to or not, but to really, really ask you a lot of questions and find out, where you are having, difficulties in your diet or lifestyle or exercise, and can help point you in the right direction, like I said, and really modify it. again, I've been doing nutrition a very long time, counseling. So sometimes patients want me to hand them like a meal plan. And I always say, I'm not going to give you a meal plan. I'm going to try to educate you. Let's look at what you're doing and we'll help you modify it. And they go, no, I need the meal plan. And I go, okay, well, tonight you're going to eat tofu, quinoa, and asparagus. And they go, I'm not going to eat that. And I go, well, you're not going to eat the meal plan then. So I don't think you want me picking your meal plan. I want to help you like work around things, because it's not really that people aren't eating well all the time. Yeah, maybe it's not balanced. Maybe the portions are too big. Maybe they don't have any structure with their day, and that could be part of the problem. But it's not always what they're eating, but how much they're eating, and maybe it's not balanced.
It's a really good and awesome panel. I think my question, you said sustainability. So as role models, like what's your motivation? What's your why if you wouldn't go through in terms of exercise? So diet, of course, is the component, but like to find a sustainable exercise, sometimes you need motivation and the reasoning. So would you guys be willing to share your why of how you sustainably exercise and why you do it?
I think that's a wonderful question because everybody needs to find their why. Yes. Personally, my why are my children. I want to show my children how to live a healthy and active lifestyle, and they won't know how to do that unless they see their mom doing that. And so my children are my why. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Well, let's see. I guess I could go into, I don't have any children. However, I always, played sports, athlete, taught aerobics. I always liked the fitness aspect. And then that's when I got into nutrition, as a phys ed major, I took a nutrition class and that got me into that. But I also saw what's in my family, and I saw my mother who never moved very much, and she's got back problems, knee problems, and she's got all kinds of medical problems, and I didn't want any of that. So that was my motivation, was I don't want to be sitting in a recliner the rest of my life and having aches and pains, and I want to make sure that I stay off medications if I'm able to and live a long, good quality of life without anybody taking care of me. So that was my main reason.
I think mine is I just didn't want anything to be able to stop me. Like if I want to go on a backpacking trip and carry a 40-pound backpack, I want to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That means a lot of cardio and a lot of strength training to be able to get up to that. But I don't like to let things stop me, and so I try and be physically active.
I think for mine, it's more the mental health piece. Like Dr. Flint said, you always feel better, towards the end of the day if you get that activity in. Or having family history of dementia at a very young age. There's no treatment for that, but activity can maybe help postpone, that later on in life. So more so that mental piece.
I would say my why definitely has changed through seasons of life. So now my why would be for health reasons, just mental health and also physical health. I've had some chronic pain type of things. And if I don't exercise, I really have a lot more pain. And if I don't exercise mentally, I definitely struggle a lot more. So it's kind of morphed as I've gotten older. It's like an absolute thing that just I need to do. Yeah.
My why is to be a great model for my patients and my family. I preach a lot of self-care to my patients specifically. And so if I'm not modeling that myself, and I unapologetically take time for myself in the morning before my kiddo is up, I am at the gym, I'm working out, and then I come home and I spend some time in prayer and meditation and the things that will really enhance my day in a lot of different ways. But it makes me a better helper of human beings when I'm able to do that for myself first and foremost. So I do it. My why is to be able to be a great model for others.
And that is something that I think all of us here, I have to take care of my kids. I have to take care of my mom. I have to take care of my dad. I have to take care of this or that, my job. We're all trying to take care of so many things all the time. So I try to tell my patients, always remember that self-care is never, ever, ever selfish, because if you don't take care of yourself first, you will never be able to continue to take care of those other things.